Released in 1962, this Western, directed by John Ford and starring John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, and Vera Mills, was shot in black and white in contrast to Ford's previous films. Wayne's performance as Tom Donovan would go on to get him nominated to AFI's 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains list as a hero in 2006. It would become the 15th highest grossing film of 1962 and would garner an Academy Award nomination for Best Costume Design Black and White for Edith Head. Today, on You've Never Seen It, we're talking about the man who shot Liberty Valance. Welcome to You've Never Seen It, an audio podcast where I am on a mission to never hear these four words again. I am your host, Allison Salamone, and joining me today to talk about the man who shot Liberty Valance is someone very, very special to me. He is a bourbon and whiskey aficionado, and I just like to call him Dad. It's my dad, Jim Mitchell. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Allison.
How you doing?
I am great. I have really enjoyed listening to your podcast and some of the movies that you haven't seen. I don't know how you missed those over the years.
I know, considering the fact that I tell people this story all the time, the whole reason why, Casablanca is my favorite movie of all time. It's absolutely fantastic, and I never would have seen it if it wasn't for us back, I think we were living in like Fairfax and flipping through Turner Classic Movies, and it was on, and you were just like, oh, it's Casablanca. We got to watch it. And I was like, fine. And we did. And I instantly just fell in love with it. It's incredible. So knowing my range of movie history of things that I like and that I have seen, but things that I haven't, you've been, every single time I tell you I have an episode coming out on this movie, you're like, are you sure I didn't show that to you?
That is true. So, but sometimes your mom has seen something and she doesn't remember seeing it.
That's our bonus content.
I know.
The bonus. I've talked about that on a few episodes. The bonus content that'll be coming if we can get more than just tens of listeners.
I understand. I'm just, getting a chance to sit down with you tonight and rewatch my favorite Western of all times was just a hoot. I mean, I really enjoyed that.
It was so fun. I'm really glad we were able to do this together because I could have either rushed through and tried to get it done, but it's Thanksgiving weekend, at least at the time of the recording. Technically, I could kind of say happy birthday because by the time this comes out, it is your birthday.
It will be my birthday.
So
I know. I'm excited.
That's kind of fun how this all worked out. But before we even really get into the movie, even though you're my dad and I've gotten to hear all these wonderful stories, I don't think you've ever actually given me like your history with movies in general. Like, when do you remember the first movie you ever saw? What do movies mean to you? Do you find yourself on a casual movie watching side of things, or are you more of a film buff?
That's a great question. Growing up, we used to go to Eatonton, which was about 18 miles from Monticello, where Joel Chandler Harris was, and my cousins were there, and there was a movie theater there. There wasn't one in Monticello. So on Saturdays, we would go to the movies, and there would be a double feature, and usually it would be like Godzilla versus Mothra and Tora, or something like that. And that's actually where I saw The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, is that it was on one of those double features, and you had the Pink Panther cartoons in between. So growing up, that's what we would do. And we'd go to the movie theater. It opened at noon, and we'd stay until the stores closed at 6, and we'd watch the movie over and over again. When I was in high school, we would go to the Hub Drive-In every Saturday night. Same thing, just a bad B-movie double feature. But in the intermission, they played bingo. So that was always fun. And if you bingoed first, you would either get a box of popcorn or 2 tickets to come back next week. And then over the years, I just love the movies. There's such a great escape, and appreciate the acting that's in there and everything else. So that's a little bit of my history. So growing up, being dropped off at the movies all day long, eating popcorn, and then in high school going to the drive-in theater, and then even today I still enjoy. There's nothing better than watching something on the big screen. There really is. Yeah. It's just amazing.
Absolutely. I think, and you were the one that told me back when I was telling you I was doing an episode on Psycho, you were the one that the first words out of your mouth, and I even said it on that episode, was that revolutionized how we saw movies. We see movies the way we see them today because of
because
that
of
movie.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. So now getting into The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, what is it about this movie specifically? Because again, when I told you in our little family chat, I said, hey guys, I'm starting a new podcast. This is what I'm going to do. And your words, instead of like, good luck, can't wait to hear it, it was, when can I come talk about The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance?
Yeah, you know how we all are so shy in our family. But yeah, no, what got me about this movie is, everybody that does an impression of John Wayne, they do the same impression, which is from this movie. What do you mean there, Pilgrim? Mm-hmm. And it's the only time he ever said that and did that. And the three actors in the movie are all, if you like Westerns, this is like the Mount Rushmore of Western stars. I mean, the only one missing is Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
But you had John Wayne, you had Lee Marvin, and you had Jimmy Stewart. And there's just a great story that kind of throws a little curve at you, and you're not really expecting it. And once again, I mean, John Wayne was such a big hero during my genre and growing up. And, being, he's played everything from, a Green Beret to Genghis Khan, which is a movie I will not sit down and make you watch.
No.
Nobody should ever watch John Wayne being Genghis Khan.
No. Definitely not. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and this was one of his, if not his, I think his last film that he did, because in 1964 was when he was fully diagnosed with a stomach cancer.
Well, yeah, I mean, he came down with cancer, but he kind of came back and forth, and he did several more movies after that.
Okay.
The last movie that he did was The Shootist.
That's right.
And that was the one where, he died a while later from stomach cancer, but the cancer was actually in remission when he was filming it, but everybody thought that he still had cancer at the time. But to me, that was the movie that my sister just absolutely walked out of, is when they shot John Wayne. Any movie that kills John Wayne is a movie that nobody should ever sit through. And she left.
Was that Teenie or Jeanette?
It was Aunt Teenie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she walked out.
That is an Aunt Teenie move.
How dare you kill John Wayne?
Spoilers. No, it's fine. But I mean, and speaking of twists, speaking of spoilers, so in doing my research, there was actually a song written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David that was titled "The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance," performed by. I thought it was really interesting. It was what's the guy's name? Gene.
Gene Autry?
No. Hold, please, because it's fine. This will get cut in post.
I never knew there was a song.
By Gene Pitney performed it. It came out. So the movie came out April 12th, 1962. The song, though, because it was based on the movie's plot line and gave away the plot point spoiler at the end, they didn't release it until April 28th. Or like the week after, and that's when it hit. The picture was released on April 18th. The song then hit the Billboard Top 100. I think landed at like number 4, like 10 days later, because they couldn't put it in the movie. Because if you put it in the movie, it doesn't match the time, like the time of it. But apparently, the song itself gave away that
who
twist.
Actually shot Liberty Valance.
Valance.
Yeah. Well, that would be a big spoiler then if you've never seen the movie. No, 62, I was 5 years old. I was just getting into the Beatles then, so.
Yeah. You know what's so crazy? So you say like you're 5 years old when you went to go see this. I remember 5 years old at a few movies that you took us to. The first one being Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, great movie. And then the other one that I remember you taking me to is Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not good. That gave kids nightmares. I was really not, I guess, a very good parent, because I didn't pay too much attention to the movie ratings, and that was rated PG-13, and it shouldn't be taking 6 and 7-year-olds to go see that.
6 and 7-year-olds.
Yeah, a big posse of them.
Not just your own children, but other people's children.
I was going to say, if little David is still out there, I'm so sorry.
So sorry, David Christie. So sorry. I think I've apologized to him like 4 or 5 times on this podcast, just in general, probably because of that whole thing right there. But I mean, not only that, so it's really fun, like looking on IMDb and seeing all the people that are in this. So I kept wondering where I knew the voice of the Marshal from, Link Appleyard, or played by Andy Devine, and that's the voice of Friar Tuck from the Robin Hood animated movie.
He did lots of different character kind of things. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but Liberty Valance is one of his henchmen was also the same guy that played Ernest T. Bass in the Andy Griffin Show.
Yeah.
So it was real easy to pick that up. So it's just, you see all these old character actors. I mean, John Wayne's first few movies that he didn't even get a credit for, but you recognize him in the movies. And then, his first credit wasn't even John Wayne. It was Duke Morrison because his nickname was the Duke. And it's because when he was a little boy, he had a dog named Duke, and so he loved the dog, and he was like Big Duke and Little Duke, and that's how he got his nickname. And then the movie theater or the movie producers wanted to give him a name. I want to say it was Anthony Wayne. And once again, timing is everything. And that time of the guy goes, "Oh, that sounds too Italian," so he changed it to John Wayne. So that's how Mr. Morrison ended up with the name John Wayne.
But that would make sense too, because like at the same time, while all of these westerns are coming out, you are competing with the Italian westerns. That's kind of, I mean, it gets. I don't know if you watched the Tarantino movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but they kind of play upon that with Leonardo DiCaprio's character as this big western guy, and then he can't book anymore, so his agent gives him an opportunity to go make Italian movies because that's what.
Well, that's what Clint Eastwood really got his start, was those Italian westerns,
the spaghetti westerns.
Spaghetti westerns, yeah, exactly.
That's.
He also got
awesome.
acting lessons from Mount Rushmore too.
Over. I get it.
You talking to me, punk?
You talking to me? Have you seen anything else directed by John Ford?
Not, off the top of my head, I would say no.
Okay.
I know that he and John Wayne were good friends, and they've had little spits and spats over the years. But no, this, once again, I didn't even realize he was the one that directed the movie. I just knew
he's
the
done
three main characters
so much stuff. I mean, back then, of course, you were able to, but I think he did like 140 something movies.
Well, they used to turn movies around in a matter of weeks.
Yeah,
they would go from soup to nuts, and
yep,
was there.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. So would you say you're a bigger John Wayne fan than you are Jimmy Stewart? Like, do you put John Wayne over Jimmy Stewart?
I think they're two very different kinds of actors. John Wayne was the one who always kind of came up and saved the day, and Jimmy Stewart was always the Mr. Everyman. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It's a Wonderful Life. Those are the kind, and even Rearview Mirror, which I don't know if you've seen that one or not. The one with the Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Rear Window.
Rear Window, sorry.
That's actually, it's so funny you said it. Again, another story I tell all the time, but Rear Window, when I watched it for the first time, I had taken a picture of it and posted it on my Twitter page. And I was like watching my first ever Hitchcock, and it went like, I had 1,000 like retweets and comments and likes. Like, it just blew up because apparently it was the best Hitchcock to start with because it's one of his best ones. But yeah, no, him in Rear Window is one of my favorite. I think because I haven't seen a lot of Jimmy Stewart. I've seen It's a Wonderful Life. I've now seen this, and then I saw Rear Window and Rope because I watched Rope immediately after I watched Rear Window, and he is just. I need to watch more James Stewart is what I'm learning.
It's interesting is that when I worked in D.C. for the Bureau of National Affairs, John Stewart was our CEO, and he was actually Jimmy Stewart's first cousin.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
Is kind of cool. Yeah.
That's neat. Cool. Look at you. That's super
7
fun.
degrees of separation.
Always. Now, if we can only figure out your connection to Kevin Bacon.
Actually, it's probably through Trisha Yearwood.
Probably. So. I would not be surprised. So you saw this movie when you were...
I was like 8 years old.
Okay.
So, the we used to call it the Pitiful Pecs. It's no longer there, so I can say that. So they didn't typically get first-run movies. They got them after they've been out for a while. Mm-hmm. I actually saw Song of the South there, which you will never see anywhere ever again.
That is one that I will never have on this show because you can't get it anywhere, and I'm trying not to get canceled.
I understand. But no, we would go to the Pitiful Pecs, and then we would sit down, close to the front, and we'd watch the movies. So yeah, it was probably me and my cousin Charlie. We were like 8 years old, and we went to the movies at 12 o'clock, and we watched it over and over and over again. And what's funny is that, at some point you would start picking up dialogue. So
Yeah.
I'd always be John Wayne. He would be Jimmy Stewart, and we would go through the whole movie.
Oh, that's so
with our own lines. I
fun.
know, right?
That's so cute. I love that. And so would you say, so you said that this is your favorite Western. Would you say this is also like your favorite movie, or do you have a favorite movie?
I do have a favorite movie, but this is my favorite Western, and one of the, I think, truly classics just because of what's in there. But my absolutely favorite movie is Buckaroo Banzai, The Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension.
We'll have to have you back on that one.
Best movie. I know you've seen this one because I forced you to watch this. I know. You maybe closed your eyes, but man, if you've not seen Buckaroo Banzai, I'm so sad that they didn't make a remake. It's got Jeff Goldblum in it. I mean, come on.
Like a young Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
Oh, I do love Jeff Goldblum. That's a wonderful actor right there.
No matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah. No, this movie was, and given the time frame for it too, so it's so crazy because you go and you start researching these things. So like still in the 60s, everything with Academy Awards, like your costume design, I want to say like your film editing, you had awards for like movies that were in color and movies that were in black and white. Because I guess it was two different
genres
processes. But the costuming for this got a nomination for best costuming black and white film, because I guess that's a whole nother science.
Well, I was going to say, black and white movies, you have to do things differently. I mean, you go back to Psycho, the blood in Psycho was chocolate syrup,
Yeah.
So
geniuses, all of them. So how many John Wayne movies do you think could you name like off the top of your head that you've seen?
Off the top of my head? Oh gosh, probably 7 or 8. I mean, The Green Berets, The Shootist, True Grit. He won an Academy Award for that one. The Alamo, the Midway. I mean, John Wayne was just, there's just so many different ones there. The one with, who's the young actor that was? I think it was Dean Martin was in it, like The Searchers. So, but there, once again, he's the same character. Oh, and he was like in the, John Wayne with an Irish accent. So The Quiet Man with Maureen McGovern. This guy's versatile. He's Genghis Khan. He's
Irish.
He's Irish. I mean,
and he sounds the same in all of them.
All of them, exactly. There, Pilgrim. He sounds exactly the same.
That's the line that they used on the Great Movie Ride when they would have him pop up, the little animatronic pop up. I remember that. A lot of my stuff that
they had him sitting on a horse too, and he hated horses.
That's so crazy. I didn't even know that. For a guy who's literally known for doing westerns.
Yeah, I mean,
he hates horses.
He avoided them all the time. The only time he would ever be on a horse is if he had a scene he had to do. And he was a good horseman. He just didn't like them.
That's funny. Could you imagine? I could not imagine.
Well, I don't like airplanes, but think how much I've flown all over the years.
That is very true.
I can empathize with the Duke on that one.
Man, he only won. Did you know that John Wayne only won one Oscar?
Yeah, that was for True Grit.
Yeah.
And I think they gave it to him because he was near the end of his career.
Yeah.
He played Rooster Cogburn in that movie.
He has been nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Or technically, The Alamo was nominated for Best Picture, but he was nominated for Best Actor in Sands of Iwo Jima, then Best Picture for The Alamo, and then for True Grit. Did you ever watch the remake?
Oh, the remake? Yeah.
Of True Grit?
But once again, the original one, when he, the guy asked him, "Is you ready?" He goes, "I was born ready."
Yeah.
I mean, you can't top John.
What's been really fun about going back and watching all of these movies is in every single one that I watch, I feel like there's a line that I've heard you say. Like, for example, watching...
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
That, of course. But when I was watching Blazing Saddles, and I get to the part where they're trying to blow up the dynamite, and Cleavon Little goes, "Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime." Like, I feel like there's like so many things like I keep hearing that I'm like, oh, that's where that came from.
From Mr. Mongo.
Where the white women at? Sorry. Terrible. It's fine. It's great.
I like to extend it. I could do Blazing Saddles all day long.
Go all day long.
Yeah, I can just keep them coming right now.
So since this is your favorite Western, would you say this is also your favorite John Wayne film, or do you have another one that might top it?
This is absolutely my favorite John Wayne film.
Okay.
I mean, he is that strong, silent type. He loses the girl, saves the day, and then dies penniless and with no boots on.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. What an interesting, and then I think the way that this movie ends, where they're back on the train and they're talking about leaving Washington, and the guy comes up and he's like, here's your clean spittoon, and here's this and here's that. And it really plays off of the line of like, when legends become fact, you just print the legend.
Yeah.
And so as he goes to light his pipe, because anything for the man that shot Liberty Valance. So like, knowing that he's had this reputation, it's never gone away, and it's John Wayne, Tom Donovan's character goes to the grave, losing the things that he had wanted.
Dirt poor farmer, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of a sad ending. Like, it's not it doesn't feel like you get this glimmer of hope because they're talking about leaving Washington and going on with their lives, but it's like it feels like in that moment, Ransom Stoddard is always only going to be remembered as the man who shot Liberty Valance.
Even
though he didn't do it.
Because people take different things away from it. And to me, the thing I take away from it is when he talks about going back there, and she said that she would love to go back there, and he asked her, who put the desert cactus rose on Tom's coffin. I mean, I think that there's somewhat of what could have happened.
Yep.
If Liberty Valance had shot and killed Jimmy Stewart.
100%. Or if it got out that Jimmy Stewart wasn't the one that shot him.
Right.
Like,
so anyway, it was just interesting to me is that I could tell that to me it was her thinking about how her life would have been. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there was any regret in it or whatsoever, but, the things that she wanted to do when she went back and everything like that. So
that's a really interesting point. That is Hallie Stoddard, played by Vera Miles. Also known for her part as the sister, as a what's her face's sister, Janet Leigh's sister in Psycho.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you see her a lot in the second half of it after Janet Leigh bites it. Again, spoilers. It's fine. 1960s. If you haven't seen it by now, don't listen to my podcast. But it's kind of
that's like when you get on an airplane, they explain to you how to put a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Like. Where the hell have you been? Have you not been in a car since '68? You
sure you don't know how to do this?
You don't know how to put on a seatbelt. You should not be on an airplane with me. My other favorite line on the airplane is to go, if something falls down, just pull forward, put it over your nose and mouth, and breathe normally. If that damn thing falls from the top, I am doing a lot of stuff, but breathing normally ain't gonna be one of them.
I'm gonna be peeing.
I'll be doing Lamaze breathing like my mom. Yeah, no, sorry. I know we digress. There's nothing to do with Liberty Valance.
It's okay. This happens quite a bit on this show.
That is true. I've listened to you.
What can I say? It's conversations. They go sideways. It happens. Those aren't pillows. Sorry, I keep thinking about another great movie. Oh my God. Did not expect Planes, Trains, and Automobiles to make me cry.
Really?
Did not.
How sad is John?
That's
and it's
what I'm
almost
saying.
like that's him. It's like him in his real life. I think.
Was not expecting it. I've gotten this reputation amongst my group of friends for like literally crying at everything. So the fact that none of them warns me, it makes me think I need new friends.
Or they just enjoy watching you cry.
Which I probably then still need new friends.
Understand. That's a good point. Good point.
So again, speaking more to John Wayne, if you could, what would you say are your top 3 John Wayne performances, like ranked?
Oh my gosh. Well, obviously this one here. I like the Green Beret, and that's one that came out as his way of supporting the Vietnam War, which among young people wasn't very popular. But I remember seeing the movie with my brother. William took me to go see it because he was in the Air Force, and crying in the movie. But there was anyway, that was my second favorite John Wayne, and then my third one, I would say True Grit. It was Rooster Cogburn that he got the Oscar for.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. I think this is only the second John Wayne movie I've seen because I've seen the original True Grit. I don't think I've really watched anything else that he's done. I mean, I know like over the years, given how things have changed and stuff, he's gotten a reputation for not being politically
It was the
correct.
time,
But again,
you know,
and I think even like when we were talking about doing this, and it kind of crossed my mind with it, and it's kind of like one of those things. What I'm coming across to, because even like talking about Hitchcock was a piece of crap. Like he was not a good person.
I was going to say he liked Walt Disney having cartoon characters because he didn't have to deal with actors.
Right.
And you know, there's letters that he had written to Grace Kelly that we saw when we were over in Monaco. And in the letter, he was basically saying that Walt Disney had the right idea of just drawing cartoons because then he doesn't have to deal with actors and actresses.
Alfred Hitchcock was not a great guy. He blacklisted Tippi Hedren for, not giving into his advances. Like, not good people, but it's kind of one of those things where at a certain point in time, you got to kind of look at it as respecting the art versus like the artist,
the
or like and looking at it for what it did versus like who's in it, and looking at it as a sign. I think another good argument for that could come into play, with the Harry Potter stuff and the Harry Potter movies. J.K. Rowling has now made a big name for herself in the sense of being a term that they call a TERF, a trans exclusive radical feminist, which means she believes that women are born women and men are born men, and trans women are not the same as an actual woman. And it's become a whole big thing with these characters that she made. And actually people like Daniel Radcliffe have like spoken out against her. But at the same time, it's, for me, those films and those books, like the film itself have been very storied in our relationship.
Sure.
I remember you and Molly when we, again digressing, but I remember when the three of us all read Half-Blood Prince, and you and Molly were so gung-ho, because I've always loved Severus Snape. He's always been my favorite character. And the two of you were so gung-ho to tell me Severus Snape is the worst. We told you he was a bad guy. He's not a good guy. And I stood in my ground. I'm like, nope, he's going to be a good guy. And then by the time Deathly Hallows rolled around, I finally got, for the one time in my life, got to say, I told you so.
I was going to say, do you want to bring your brother out here and we can discuss the Harry Potter thing again? So.
Severus Snape is Harry Potter's uncle.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, it's one of those things where like the stories itself and the films itself, you can respect the people that are in them, or like understand what it is, while also saying, looking back and being like, okay, well, that is bad.
Well, I understand what you're saying. And what I would say about John Wayne in this case is that, it was a different time and place, but prejudice is prejudice.
Yes.
And right's right and wrong is wrong. And, his values and some of the things that he said and espoused were wrong. They were wrong then. Growing up in a little small town in Georgia, I remember, the segregated restrooms. I remember segregated schools. I laugh. I know I've told the story many times. I was growing up, my friends before I went to school were our maids' kids, and that's who I played with. And I didn't realize I was white until I went to school and none of my friends were there.
Yeah.
So, it's just, who is it? Maya Angelou said, I did the best I could do until I knew better, and then I did better. Mm-hmm. And I think as people become exposed to folks and others that are different lifestyles, different ideas and everything else, is that you begin to realize that, that love is love, and that everybody should have someone that loves them and be them, and everybody should be who they are.
100%.
So if I want to identify as a rock, then I shall identify myself as a rock.
What about as the Rock?
Well, I could do that, but I think I would be in trouble from a copyright standpoint.
This is true. I mean, and I love how you say it, because like getting to people who don't know you and know your history and how you grew up, and seeing how the person that you've become and now the children that you've raised, it's all from a lot of it. You can back it up even to like your own parents and how they did things. I remember, again, you talk about this small town, and I talked about in the last episode, Monticello, Georgia, where they filmed My Cousin Vinny. It's in the middle of nowhere.
It's actually the end of nowhere.
And that you're saying, like, you grew up, you born 1959, 57. I try to give you a couple of years.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, you're still there in the 60s. And I remember you talking about even growing up, like the Klan meetings that would happen in the town square, and your own dad walking out and ripping hoods off of people and telling and calling them out by name and telling them to go, like, I know who you are, go home. which again at that time is something that to be able to do.
Yeah, to have the courage, it's hard to do the right thing, when everybody else is doing the wrong thing. But you have to have the courage to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm really proud of my dad. I'm proud of my sisters and my brother, and even more proud, I think, of my kids and the people that they've become, because the Marines used to say, "No better friend, no worse enemy," and I think that's very true about every one of you guys, Allison, you, Molly, Jay, Jess.
I love that.
Give you your shirt off your back, but don't mess around. You may get stabbed. You may get it back with a couple holes in it.
I like to think I'd be like John Wayne and kick someone in the face for doing the wrong thing.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
There's my John Wayne moment. But it's true. And I think that's why one of the reasons why I'm glad to have you on here, because we can talk about these things and these different backgrounds and have an understanding that I can still really enjoy this movie and it's okay. And I can still say that to be honest, Jimmy Stewart also did great movies, but he fired someone off of his show for racial reasons. It's just, but again, we're talking about times. It is what it is.
Doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not. I mean, but again, you look at a movie like The Shining and how Stanley Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall on that movie to the point where he literally tortured her.
I hate scary movies. You know that, right?
I do.
Me and your mom, I hate scary. I saw The Shining when we were in college. It scared the bejesus out of me. I was trying to read the book, and the book scared me so bad I stopped reading the book, and I got shamed into going to the movie. Here's Johnny. Holy
How is it
smokes.
that you and Jay get shamed or get talked into going and seeing these horribly scary movies? You ended up going one of yours is you got talked into going to see The Exorcist.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Jay is dating a girl in high school who parents were super Catholic, and the only movie that the Catholic newspaper apparently said was okay to go see was The Others.
I was going to say, you have to remember the Catholic Church, The Exorcist is not a movie. It's a documentary,
right.
I mean, they believe that, that they can be possessed. But yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. And then Jay goes on a date to go see The Others with Nicole Kidman, which is about ghosts.
When you're 6'3" and you're a biscuit shy at 260, saying you're going to be afraid of a movie is not a good look.
Not a great look.
You just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. It'll be over soon. Just because you found the ability to see scary movies now doesn't mean the rest. It's really judgmental.
To be fair, I've gotten the ability to see scary movies in the sense that I can go see.
It's just a movie.
No, it's not. Which also makes me want to throw up during some of the scary parts. But which is what Frank tries to tell me. He's like, just think that something's going to happen. I go, that's why I feel the way that I feel, is because something's going to happen.
Exactly.
I've gotten better with things like slasher movies and stuff like that. I'm okay with. It's the shit like The Conjuring or Amityville Horror or stuff where there's enough to knowing enough to know is it real? I don't know, but I know enough that I don't want to fuck around and find out.
Well,
right?
I mean, it's that whole thing. I remember in college going to see Carrie, and it was a student theater movie, and I was the only one that hadn't seen it because I didn't like it, and I went to go see it with everybody that had seen it, and once again, kind of a plot twist, but if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. But at the very end, when they go back and she's buried in the ground and all of her friends are there, I'm sitting there, and then her hand comes up and grabs the person's hand. Well, obviously it scared the hell out of me. I jumped because everybody grabbed me at the time, and I turned around and I punched the person that I was with. I mean, their nose bled, but I peed my pants. So, I thought it was a small price to pay, him having a bloody nose and me having piss in my britches.
That is.
So no, I don't like scary movies.
So no, that's where they're out. I still say to this day the reason why I was so scarred from scary movies was from you taking me to go see Ernest Scared Stupid.
Well, I do it. It was
Ernest, that was my therapy bill.
Ernest P. World.
I know. Everything else was great.
All you had to have was if you had a glass of milk, you just throw it on the troll and they'd melt. I mean. You were protected at all times. You knew how to defend yourself.
At all times, yes,
you needed
for
garlic
sure.
And a steak or something, silver bullet. All you needed was a glass of milk.
This is very
I'm sorry,
true.
I've just ruined that for everybody who hasn't seen Ernest Scared Stupid.
I'm pretty sure they're fine.
I think it was a Golden Globe winner, too, that time, yeah. One of the classics.
One of the classics,
Not as bad
absolutely.
as when I took Jay to see He-Man in the very beginning when Skeletor comes out, he ran out the damn theater. Yeah, I had to go get him. He ran.
Remember when you took him to go see Edward Scissorhands?
Oh yeah, I remember that was not a good idea either. That was a weird movie to begin with. So,
and you took, I think he was 5 or 6 at the time too.
Probably. It wasn't R rated. I thought it was okay. PG.
It's fine.
Okay, but no, there's a reason why they're PG-13. They understand. I learned my lesson.
Did you though? Because then you took all of us to go see. You clearly that
was
the first
Ernest
time.
P. I mean, come on. It's not like this is like the king of horror. It's not like he was, Boris Karloff or.
Sure.
Jeez.
So getting back into The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance before we digress more into
people going to be
family stories.
What the hell was this about?
What would you say if you thought about it? Do you have like I ask everybody with all the movies that I talk about, your top 3 moments with this movie? What your top 3, like your 3 favorite scenes?
My 3 favorite scenes. I think when John Wayne tells Jimmy Stewart, the truth. I love that. I love at the end when the newspaper writer goes, here this is the West, and when legend becomes fact, you print the legend. So those 2, and then the other one, this one kind of really struck me because I didn't ever remember this until we rewatched it tonight. Was when he goes in and he opens the coffin up and he doesn't have the boots on, and he demands him to come put his boots back on. So that I think was another. Moment that really kind of, I really, really, I thought was poignant.
That's a really, yeah. Because and then I like how it ties up at the end where the coroner is there, not only with the boots, but with the boots and the hats, as they go away. Do
you ever wonder what was in that hat box that she was carrying around? Because you
never know.
I know, right? I wonder what that was.
Oh, me too. What do you think it was?
I don't know.
Do you think she carried?
I think it was his hat, is what I think it was. I think it was a cowboy hat for him.
Because the only other thing I can think of is she took it with her, and then they went and got the cactus, and then she put the cactus back in the box to take back with her, and then she obviously put it on while he was telling the story because it wasn't there when they left. That's the only other thing.
Well, there you go. That's a mystery that that will never be solved.
No, it will not. Gotta love when they have those little movie.
Maybe it was like Lady from Lady and the Tramp. They're going to put maybe there's a puppy in there.
I don't. Hope it's okay still.
I'm sure they let it out.
For me, yeah, I love the line. There's a lot of good lines in this movie, but I do love that part when he was like, "Oh, you're not going to print your story now," and that whole when legend becomes fact, we just print the legend. I love the reveal where he gets Pompey to give him the gun.
Yep.
I think, and you're actually watching it happen and how he just walks away. And it's kind of one of those things too, where, the only reason he's telling him is to lift the burden of you didn't kill a man.
Right. Exactly.
So, which killed Jimmy Stewart, Mr. Law and Order, but went this route. And then I think that whole first showdown in the restaurant with John Wayne and Liberty Valance and his gang
picking up the steak,
like that whole scene I thought was just so. I feel like you're getting your prime John Wayne in that moment right there, because this movie is way more Jimmy Stewart, I feel, than it is John Wayne. He's not in it that much. It's a 2-hour movie.
Well, he doesn't show up until like 20 minutes into the movie, right?
And then he's gone, and then he shows up again, but he's literally he gets nominated in this film itself gets nominated in 2006 or 2007 by the American Film Institute when they're doing like their 100 years 100 movies thing. This one got nominated as Tom Donovan for the 100 years 100 heroes and villains as a hero, which yes he is, because he's the one who shot Liberty Valance, but he's in a 2-hour movie. I think you're maybe getting like 20 minutes of screen time with him.
Well, let's talk about Sleeping Beauty. Aurora is in that movie for what, 16 minutes?
Yeah.
And really doesn't have any lines.
Yeah.
The other movie, the other thing, you're sitting there talking, it kind of brought it back when you're talking about Pompey throwing him the gun. The scene where after this is over and he's drinking in the bar, and Pompey comes in there and the bartender, tries to throw him out, and then John Wayne tells him to have a drink, and he goes, it was like, once again, put this in context. 1962, you were dealing with the stuff that was going on with the sit-ins and the things that were happening in the lunch counters. So that was all right at the beginning of that, and I thought that was really kind of telling as well. That they put that in this movie that says have a drink, and it was a time when it was still dealing with segregation and Jim Crow laws and everything else. So I don't know if you picked up on that or not.
I didn't, but looking at it now, I can definitely see it. I would probably have to go back and watch it again just to catch that. But that's awesome. Look at you.
Yeah,
I love this. Okay. Moving away from Liberty Valance just because I think this might be fun. Movies.
It's your show and you can do whatever you want to. My show, my rules.
That's how we roll.
Subject.
Do you, because I'm going to put you kind of on the spot. Do you have any favorite moments from, obviously I've been in your life for 36 wonderful years. Do you have any, if you could think of anything, any like favorite moments of like movies you've taken us to as a family, or like times that like we've had?
Oh, it's really funny. I think my favorite thing is not only movies but going to plays. And, you and I getting a chance to go to New York to go see Grease. That was really a great time. I think when we were living in D.C., we went to the National Theater and we saw Mamma Mia. Do you remember that?
I do.
And, what's so funny is that your brother, Chess, loved Mamma Mia and literally, can sing every song from the movies and everything like that. And I always thought that was really funny. So, I think that was probably just one of the.
It was so funny too. I remember when I feel like we had season tickets for the National Theater because that was the same year that we saw Les Mis.
Yep.
And we saw Cats. We did see Cats.
Yes.
Whatever we stayed, the parts that I remember all of us falling asleep, and then Grisbella gets
I know, and everybody jumped up.
Oh!
I remember the cat came down. We had great seats too. She had her head in my lap. I'm sitting there patting the cat.
That was weird.
Yeah, I was weird.
Wild.
Going, what are you doing? I don't
know. It's like it's here. Like it's right here. What are we supposed to do?
It's supposed to do. Scratch its ear.
And then seeing Mamma Mia. And I remember going into that thinking like it's an ABBA musical. Like what is this?
Do you remember Starlight Express? You remember?
I remember you taking us to Starlight. I do remember you taking us.
That show. Oh. Jay was always the diesel. Hear me knocking.
Yeah. I do remember you taking us to go see Starlight Express when it was at the Kennedy Center, right?
Kennedy Center, yeah.
Yep. That was who? That was the who is that?
Train.
Steven Sondheim or
No.
Andrew Lloyd Webber? No, who was that?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It is Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It was one of his earlier things that he did with the roller skating and everything. Welcome to the 80s.
We used to listen to that soundtrack on like repeat.
I know. DeBarge.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, I love DeBarge. That's one that Frank likes to play a lot in the car. I do. We've done a lot. I've been very fortunate.
Do you remember going to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade?
I do. I remember
freezing up or took us off.
I remember we walked out of the subway. We found an open spot. We stayed there, and then when it was like when you knew the time that Mom said to be home by this time, you knew how long the train was going to take. The parade was not over, but it was going to take another 2 hours to get home. So you were like, "It's time to go," and we walked back down the subway.
Well, I remember you remember Bart Simpson crashing into the street lights and busting.
I do. That was yes.
A lot of wind.
We've done a lot of really cool things that, looking back on, I'm very fortunate. I think my love for theater came from you and all the stuff that you took us to go see. Beauty and the Beast, the musical, we've seen a bunch of times now. Because we went to go see it the one time at the Kennedy Center. You had seen it prior to that.
I was in New York. I went on Mom's birthday by myself.
By yourself?
I was so stupid. I called her up and said, "Hey, guess where I'm at?"
Guess where I just went to go see? She's like, "I'm so happy.
Guess what I'm doing for your birthday?
So happy for you.
The Beast. I got a front row seat."
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it was
so I guess you've taken us to some good shit. Or if you couldn't take us, I got to take us. So I remember I got to take Chess to Chess and his girlfriend with Down syndrome to go see West Side Story. at the Fox Theater because you were out of town. You and mom were both out of town. Like I think on one of your work things. I take Chessa's little girlfriend to go see West Side Story, and they both fall asleep. And then the intermission starts. They both wake up, and Chess looks at me and he goes, "So what happened?" And I tell him, and he goes, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah." I go, "It's like Romeo and Juliet." He goes, "Oh, like us," pointing to him and his girlfriend. And I'm like, no, not like you guys. No. So
I don't
that's
think he
always
understands what happens in Romeo and Juliet. You know, what's funny is that when your mom and I were dating, we were in college, we went to the theater and we saw Little Abner with Joe Namath. Oh, he was so bad. It was so bad. I think Heather Locklear was Daisy May or whatever.
What a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
What a choice for Joe Namath to do.
I know, right?
You break your leg in half and you got to go find something to do after
exactly. that. Exactly. He was doing underwear commercials too. So, but yeah, that was funny.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I think at this point, it's time to kind of go into, so there's this app that you can do that I learned about this year that from all my film friends called Letterboxd, where you can list all the movies that you've ever seen. You can make fun little lists and you can rank them with their star ratings of like what you would personally put them at or all that stuff. So literally everyone can be a critic.
Interesting.
I don't write anything because I'm not a critic. I just put things in and choose what I think they are. So we are going to look up The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh,
and
God.
we are going to rate it out of 5 stars. I would give this, for me personally, and I think I also need to watch more Westerns, like more like 50s, 60s, 40s, like older.
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
I need to watch that.
Add that to your list.
Do. But I would give this 4 stars for me.
Well, I think probably my bias on that probably has some effect because,
100%.
100 years from now, when you're still here and I'm gone, you'll still watch this. You go, "Oh, my dad loved this movie." That's kind of like I am.
I'm gonna love it, and I don't think 4 stars is bad. I got 1 on this whole thing with The Burbs. The Tom Hanks movie is 2.5 stars. So like I've watched some stinkers, a stinker, but. I've watched 32 movies now over this whole podcast because there's been episodes where I've done like multiples of things, but I'm starting to get more of an appreciation. I've always appreciated classic cinema, but I'm getting more appreciation of it. Like I can't wait to watch more John Ford directed flicks. I can't wait to watch more Jimmy Stewart, even watch some more John Wayne stuff because I think it's all very interesting. Now, where is it going to land on my list? And like, because I'm ranking all of them, probably somewhere in like, I definitely would put it before Sleepless in Seattle.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so
it'd probably be sitting like right around 21 out of 32.
Once again, I think it's just the genre itself sometimes doesn't lend itself to
But I've also
movies.
watched a lot of really good movies. Like that's what's getting harder about ranking this is literally, honestly, like regardless of what I've rated the film, literally everything that I have watched, I've not watched a bad movie. I've not like sat back and been like, ugh, that was terrible. Have some of them not been my cup of tea? Yes. But they're all, for what they're doing, they're all very good films because most of them have like defined something. Like watching The Evil Dead, again, a horror movie, but watching it knowing that it was like a 14-page script and then spawned a sequel and then a trilogy and then a video game, and like Bruce Campbell is now known as Ash, and like it's this whole cult following. So it's been fun to like go deep dive into these research things with people, especially people who love these movies, but nothing has been bad. Just
I think I've seen some bad movies, so
me too.
Yeah, so
you also have to take Chess quite a bit.
Yes, I do, and
My Little Pony.
I'm just waiting for you to do the episode with him of My Little Pony. I'd rather stick needles in my eyes than go back and see that again. So that was really bad. But it's just movies are a great escape. And seeing them in the movie theater in the dark, and the popcorn. God, there's nothing better than movie popcorn and Diet Coke in the movie.
Yeah.
And Junior Mints. Junior Mints. Got to have Junior Mints.
Oh, I don't do Junior Mints. I don't like brushing my teeth with candy.
Oh, so good. So good. Gets rid of the popcorn taste.
There you go. Did you know that you could actually like buy popcorn from the movie theater now and not actually have to go see a movie?
No, that should be illegal.
but you can't.
But that should be illegal. You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
But
No.
you can. With all of that fun stuff being said, have you gotten blocked by? Did you ever get blocked by Prump on Twitter?
You know what? I don't follow him at all. It's like
I just know you made fun of him a lot on Twitter for
I
a
did,
while.
and yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, arguing with those folks is like playing chess with a pigeon, because they'll just knock all the pieces over and shit all over the place and pretend like it won.
This is very true.
So
100%.
don't argue with them.
But do you have like any social medias or anything that you want to put out there if people ever wanted to come find you?
Sure. Well, I'm on Facebook. I do cooking with stories, which I show you. Well, I was told I really don't cook. I just assemble food. So kind of an easy way. Yeah, just to pick them up. And I am on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook as well. So
what's your Twitter handle? Your name on Twitter?
Oh, Bourbon Dog.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Dog, DAWG?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. Let me look. I have to check.
It's really good to tell people you're on Twitter, but you got to make sure you let them know.
Well, once again, I'm used to people just calling me on the phone, Allison. I'm not used to this.
know,
and I'm not
Dad.
giving them my phone number. But
no, don't do that.
Yeah, so where's my Twitter handle? I've got all kinds of things I'm tweeting right here and now. Here, you tell me. Where is it? Oh, it's at The Bourbon Dog. So TheBourbondawg.
There you go.
Spelled correctly.
I love it. And if you are enjoying what you're hearing, please subscribe, rate, and review Flick and Reel on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on. If you're listening on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe and comment your thoughts on this film, as well as any of the other previous movies we've covered so far. And be sure to hit the little bell icon to get notifications for any time we have new content drop.
And you can request to see Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. I'll come back and do that show with Allison. It is the best movie ever. I'm telling you right now.
You can, I love this. You can follow the show on Twitter at NeverSeenItFNR, and you can follow me at Allison Salamone. And until next time, my friends, be safe, and I'm going to keep watching some movies.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dad. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.